Starting now, we've decided to manage the household on our own, so you might want to consider finding a new place to live, my brother and his wife informed me. Surprisingly, my mother seemed to be in complete agreement with them, treating me as if I were an inconvenience. It was disheartening to think that they failed to acknowledge who had been covering the living expenses of the house. I never anticipated such disrespect from them. In the back of my mind, I resolved to take certain actions. I go by the name Carrie, a 30-year-old woman. Currently, I find myself back at my parents' house after completing my college education. Initially, I ventured into the corporate world, attempting to make it on my own. However, the challenges proved more daunting than I had imagined, and my spirit was drained. Consequently, I had no choice but to return to my parents' home. Initially, while relying on unemployment benefits, I diligently sought new job opportunities. That's when I discovered remote work and began freelancing as an engineer, utilizing my scientific background. Starting with modest projects, the income may have been small, but the experience of working from home held great significance for me. Unlike conventional jobs, I could earn a decent living without extensive interpersonal interactions, gradually building confidence in my ability to work at my own pace. Over time, my assignments grew in scale, and so did my income. After a year, I was earning as much as a regular company employee. The challenge, however, lay in my parents' understanding, particularly my mother's. While my father comprehended my situation when explained thoroughly, my mother clung to old-fashioned notions. She was wary of what she couldn't grasp, despite my earnest explanations. No matter how many times I clarified the seriousness with which I approached my work, my mother persisted with remarks like, "How long do you plan on staying home? It's been over 2 years now. You should consider working outside more." Despite my sincerity, my mother failed to comprehend my chosen lifestyle. Her suspicion often led to unfounded accusations, suggesting my online work was either some shady business or associated with a dubious religion. Despite presenting evidence, such as emails from clients and salary statements, she remained unconvinced, fearing it could be unemployment benefits that couldn't last forever. My mother's concerns seemed boundless. The thought of living independently had crossed my mind, but my savings were not sufficient yet. Around that time, my father's health took a toll, with deteriorating legs and back, necessitating nursing care. He had an early retirement and faced an unexpected loss of income. "Are you okay, Dad?" I asked anxiously. "Oh, Carrie, I'm sorry to worry you, but I've got my pension, so I'll manage," he assured me. Considering my mother's spending habits, I expressed my concerns about his ability to handle it. Despite my worries, he calmly responded, "Either way, I guess we'll make do with what we have in savings." My father's face bore the weight of exhaustion, perhaps reflecting his anxiety about the uncertain future. Throughout college, he had supported me financially, and even when I returned home due to mental health issues, he continued to assist me. The idea of leaving my father alone while living independently troubled me. Amidst my father's sudden health condition, my mother was equally bewildered. Staying home, I felt a sense of responsibility to give back. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll take care of the family from now on," I assured him. "Really?" he responded in surprise. "But can you manage that with your income?" I showed him my stable bank account, and he seemed genuinely astonished. "Carrie, I didn't know you were so financially secure." "Yeah, my income has been growing lately," I explained confidently. His next question surprised me. "Can you help us out a little?" "Of course. You've done so much for us. It's time for me to support you," I replied gratefully. "Thank you, Carrie." My father expressed his gratitude. This marked the beginning of my financial support for the household expenses, including my father's medical bills. Each month, I transferred a certain amount to my father's bank account. Since my mother had been using my father's credit card, I created a new primary card and provided her with a supplementary card. Following my father's advice to save, I encouraged my mother to do the same. However, her response took me by surprise. "What, then, should we kick Carrie out of this house? Carrie's financial contributions are making a significant difference. It's going to be much more challenging without her, or so I thought. My mother, however, remained unconvinced, maintaining a suspicious attitude towards my support. Eventually, my father managed to convince her, and she reluctantly agreed to let me continue living at home. Despite my financial help, my mother began taking it for granted and became increasingly strict with me. Can't you finish your chores faster? It's not easy because I'm also working at the same time. I apologized. You keep saying that, but is it really that difficult? My mother retorted, failing to understand or listen to my side of the story. I started realizing that my relationship with my mother was deteriorating irreparably. Thankfully, my father understood and supported me, allowing us to continue living this way for a year. However, after 1 year, my father's health suddenly declined, and he had to be hospitalized. Visiting him every day, I tried to maintain a positive outlook. Hey, Dad, how are you today? Thank you, Carrie. It doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon, but I hope it's a little less of a burden for you, he said, showing concern for me. Don't think that way, Dad. Taking care of you wasn't a burden for me, I reassured him. Despite our struggles, I still wanted to support my family as a whole. The strained relationship with my mother persisted, but I cherished the memories of her efforts in making my lunchbox and cooking dinner every night during my student days. However, everything changed when my mother eagerly welcomed my brother Kevin and his wife Mary one day. They looked at me with cold stares as my brother announced, "Somehow, we're going to live here from now on too." What? Why? I asked in surprise. Mom was worried. She thought it might be tough for you to live here alone while Dad's not around, my brother explained, and my mother avoided eye contact. We'll support you, Carrie, my brother's wife said with a smirk, leaving me with a sense that there was more to her words. My mother added, "Thank you both. Carrie, I hope you're willing to do a little more work. Otherwise, it might be hard for you to stay in this house." Once again, the topic of household responsibilities emerged. Although unexpected, my brother and his wife were now invited to live in our home. Despite my brother's successful career and ample salary, the situation took an unforeseen turn. Despite my hard work in my own way, I wondered if they could manage without me. Living with my brother and his wife brought unexpected challenges. One morning, my sister-in-law aggressively woke me up, demanding that I make breakfast. "I'm already up, working early," I responded, fully awake and in full work mode as a morning person. I valued this focused time and wanted to spend it without any disturbances. "Well, get on with it and get breakfast ready," my brother's wife insisted. "Do I have to make everything by myself?" I questioned. Our family was usually free in the morning, and we ate when and what we wanted. Considering my mother and my brother's wife were both at home, and it was for my brother, I thought it would be normal for his wife to prepare breakfast. "We're going to live together, so we need to cooperate, right?" my sister-in-law said, pressuring me to help. Reluctantly, I assisted them in preparing breakfast, but the three of them didn't seem satisfied. "Is this what you prepared for breakfast? This isn't enough," they criticized. I had prepared a breakfast plate with soft scrambled eggs, a refreshing lettuce salad, fresh buttered toast, and a juicy sausage, thinking it would be sufficient. "Do I miss something?" I questioned. "You don't have to eat it," my brother's wife declared. The three of them looked surprised, and their attitude took a harsh turn. "What's with that attitude? Who do you think you are? This is unacceptable." "You should help with the housework," they scolded me. "But I have work to do too," I defended. "Work? Really? What kind of work is that? Are you crazy?" my brother and his wife questioned, scoffing at me. My brother, influenced by my mother, consistently belittled me. The situation threatened to consume a significant portion of my work time. Ignoring their voices, I headed to my room, packed my laptop, and left the house. "Where are you going?" my brother shouted after me, but I ignored him and rushed to my father's hospital room. I explained to my father what had just happened, and he looked at me with surprise. "I didn't know they were." "I'm sorry, Carrie. Don't worry about it. You can choose your own way of life. All I want is for you to live happily, my father reassured me. Lost and conflicted, I pondered my choices, knowing my mother might feel more comfortable with my brother at home. However, my father's words encouraged me to prioritize my own comfort and happiness. Live your life the way you want to live, all right? Thank you, Father, I replied, emboldened by my father's encouragement. That evening, upon returning home, I was greeted by a scene resembling a movie. The expressions on my mother, brother, and sister-in-law were stern. Where were you, brother? Weren't you at work? Because of you, I had to take the day off. How could you take a day off for such a reason? My brother accused, surprising me with his readiness to abandon work. Internally, I questioned the responsibility of such actions. Gradually, their voices escalated, and my brother and his wife demanded, "Get out of here." Why? I asked, surprised. From now on, the three of us will live together. So if you don't want to stay, please leave. We don't need an overbearing presence like you to support us, my brother declared, attempting to force me out of the house. That's enough, Carrie. You don't need to be here now that your father is not here, my mother added, echoing my brother's sentiments, casting me as a hindrance. Did she understand how involved I was in managing the family's finances? My mother, brother, and sister-in-law dismissed my explanations, displaying a level of rudeness that became unbearable. Frustrated, I devised a plan. First, I transferred the money in the bank account linked to the credit card my mother used daily to another account I managed. I thought this would surprise her when she could no longer use her credit card. Additionally, I transferred some money from my father's account, which supported the family finances, similarly surprising my brother and his wife. The majority of the family's financial responsibilities now fell on their shoulders. After completing these formalities, I packed up my belongings and announced, "I'm leaving this place." Their surprised faces betrayed the fact that despite their harassment, they hadn't anticipated my decisive action. When I looked at their expressions, it seemed like they were actually enjoying the situation. "You're finally leaving. I've never seen such a troublesome person. You're not coming back, are you?" they taunted. "Of course not. Don't contact me," I declared. As I left the house, they smiled at me, but I harbored my own satisfaction. My new life in a peaceful environment allowed me to enjoy my own time, and I could concentrate on my work without distractions. Then, as expected, I received a call from my brother. "I told you not to contact me. What's wrong?" I answered. "Hey, is it true that you were the one who did all the money transactions in our family home?" My brother's voice was filled with surprise and urgency. "Yes, that's right. Why are you asking now? Why didn't you tell me?" "We had no idea." "Well, I did mention several times that I was working, but neither you nor Mom believed me." "That's well. Mom said a lot of things, and I was a little confused, so that's not my fault, right?" "No, it's not. But I'm having a problem with money. Mom's been spending quite a bit, and on top of that, we haven't been able to pay the house utilities and stuff. I was able to do it because I was supporting you in so many ways. I'm not home anymore. I need your help to transfer some money to my bank account." "Can you transfer some money over now?" my brother pleaded. "You must be joking. You're working for a big company. Isn't that how you make a living?" I responded. "Well, actually, I got fired from that company. I made a big mistake," my brother admitted, leaving me speechless. Before moving back to our parents' house, my brother may have assumed there was enough money in the house. Perhaps he believed he could rely on a solid pension after our father's retirement. I wanted to tell him that I was supporting the family finances, even though it seemed like I was doing nothing. The thought of his surprise when he learned the truth amused me. Later, my brother's wife and my mother echoed his plea. "We need your help. We're about to run out of savings," my brother's wife confessed. My mother added, "Your father is really upset about this. He says he won't contribute money to the household finances anymore. We're in such a bad situation. You supported us enough. You are all healthy, so work hard and support yourselves. I'll cheer you on." I heard a terrified voice on the other end of the phone as I replied, Reflect on your actions so far. I'm hanging up now, so don't contact me. But Carrie, wait a minute. My brother's voice pleaded, but I distanced myself from him, his wife, and my mother. My father, feeling unable to return to his life with my mother, consulted a lawyer, changed hospitals, and lived quietly in a different place. Fortunately, I could visit him every day. A friend informed me about my brother's recent situation. He had moved into a small apartment and seemed to be living frugally. My mother, after being a homemaker for a long time, struggled with her sudden job. My brother found it difficult to listen to the opinions of younger staff, and his part-time job didn't last long. His wife, who had been working hard to support the family finances, couldn't bear the pressure and left. Now, my brother and mother were working hard together. However, my mother's overspending habits persisted, and her debts were increasing. I was concerned, but I could no longer help her. In my comfortable living space, I worked hard and gradually accumulated more money. I contemplated trying something new. I wanted to visit my father every day and spend more time with him, hoping to see more of his cheerful smile.